Do you want to grow more food? Don't make the same mistakes that I've made. Are you afraid of killing your plants? Well, my book has already created hundreds of other successful growers, and I've even made over 7 figures growing this ancient vegetable. It's a staple food crop for millions of people and a pioneer plant for new and establishing farms all over the world. Growing this plant has even saved my farm and many other farms from bankruptcy. There's no other book like this in the world. It includes membership into my agriculture collective with 24/7 support and a network of other like-minded growers. You could spend the next 10 years learning how to grow more food yourself, or just let me guide you. Jack and Barry are already making a living from products that they make at the farmer's market and on their own websites. Ask them yourself inside the members area. Like this video if you haven't yet, share it with all your garden groups. Click the link below to get the full manual. Now, watch and listen to Chapter 1 of Grow Moringa, the Ultimate Guide. Peace, love, and prosperous growing. I'll see you inside the members area.
Chapter 1.1 about Grow Moringa, the Ultimate Guide. The following guide is a tool to teach you how to save American farms. You'll be able to gather the proper level of information and training to grow moringa for yourself or as a business. The #1 way to use moringa is a soil supplement known as biostimulant. Learn how to increase the yields of other fruits and vegetables using moringa as a biostimulant. Most people in the USA have never even heard of moringa yet. It is comparable to the turmeric industry about 20 years ago when it became more widely known for its medicinal benefits and is now a common household herb, spice, and supplement. Congruently, moringa also has many anti-inflammatory properties with antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and is a complete source of protein. Moringa can serve the agricultural industry in more ways than any other plant on land. It is classified as an Ayurvedic herb in traditional Indian medicine. This manual was written and designed for you, the backyard grower, to obtain the necessary tools to scale and grow your operation. This manual serves as a professional improvement resource for individuals and entities seeking advancement in the agriculture industry. This manual compiles 10 years of my moringa farming journey, now blossoming into a global brand, teaching others how to grow more fruits and vegetables with the help from the mighty moringa tree. If you are interested in making products from moringa, this manual provides readers with the ability to meet moringa tree industry standards. Grow Moringa, the Ultimate Guide helps prepare individuals to the intricacies of growing, harvesting, and packaging moringa trees and products. In addition to saving American farms, this manual is a comprehensive guide that aims to equip growers, farmers, and gardening enthusiasts with the knowledge and techniques to cultivate and utilize moringa to its fullest potential. This guide goes beyond the basics, delving into regenerative agriculture practices. I will describe the integration of technology such as Web 3.0 and agriculture DAO creation. You will learn the significance of biostimulants and the crucial role that moringa can play in saving American farms. Regenerative agriculture, a keystone of sustainable farming practices. In this manual, we explore the principles and methods of regenerative agriculture and how they can be applied to moringa cultivation. By mimicking nature's cycles, enhancing soil health, and fostering biodiversity, regenerative practices help restore and enhance ecosystems while ensuring long-term agricultural productivity. Biostimulants and soil enhancement. Moringa leaves have the highest concentration of a natural hormone known as zeatin. Moringa has gained recognition for its ability to enhance plant growth, improve nutrient uptake, and boost overall plant health. In this section, we explore the science behind biostimulant and its applications in optimizing moringa cultivation and increasing crop yields up to 40%. We delve into the benefits of using moringa as a soil amendment and how it can supplement the soil to foster better growth and higher yields in other fruits and vegetables. Saving American farms with moringa. The challenges faced by American farms are multifaceted, including soil degradation, climate change, and economic pressures. Here, we highlight how moringa can serve as a pioneer crop, regenerating depleted soils, providing economic opportunities, and diversifying agricultural systems. By incorporating moringa into farm practices, growers can tap into its incredible potential to enhance sustainability, profitability, and resilience. Increasing fruit and vegetable yields. One of the most exciting aspects of moringa cultivation is its ability to enhance the yields of other fruits and vegetables. In this manual, we explore various techniques and strategies to maximize fruit and vegetable production through the integration of moringa. From companion planting to utilizing moringa's natural biostimulating properties, we provide practical guidance on increasing yields and optimizing the overall productivity of your garden or farm. Grow Moringa, the ultimate guide, serves as an all-encompassing resource for individuals passionate about moringa cultivation and sustainable agriculture. By embracing regenerative practices and exploring cutting-edge technologies, you'll be more successful, harnessing the power of biostimulant, and recognize moringa's transformative potential. As a beginner grower, you can embark on a journey towards more resiliency, productivity, and environmentally conscious farming. Together, let's feed the soil that feeds the plants and cultivate a thriving future for agriculture. Save American farms and grow moringa. Please contact Grow Moringa by visiting our website, growmoringa.com, for more information on where to learn more about growing moringa. For concerns or comments, add below or email us at we@growmoringa.com. Call, text 813-567-3100. Chapter 1.2, Web 3.0 plus Agriculture DAO Creation. The world of agriculture is evolving rapidly with the emergence of blockchain technology and decentralized systems. In this section, we delve into the potential of Web 3.0 in Agriculture DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. Explore how these new technologies can empower farmers, improve supply chain transparency, and create more equitable and sustainable agricultural systems. 1. Fundamentals of Web 3.0 technology. Web 3.0 represents the next generation of the Internet, characterized by decentralized, peer-to-peer networks and applications. It leverages blockchain technology to create trust, transparency, and autonomy in various sectors, including agriculture. Some key fundamentals of Web 3.0 technology include a decentralization. Web 3.0 eliminates the need for intermediaries and central authorities, enabling direct interactions between participants. This decentralized approach enhances transparency, security, and efficiency within agricultural systems. The smart contracts. Smart contracts are self-executing agreements written as code on the blockchain. They enable automatic execution of predefined actions, such as ownership transfers, payments, or supply chain verifications. Smart contracts facilitate trust and eliminate the need for intermediaries. C. Tokenization. Tokenization involves representing real-world assets, such as land or produce, as digital tokens on the blockchain. This allows for fractional ownership, liquidity, and tradability of assets, making it easier for farmers and investors to participate in agricultural ventures. 2. Fractional ownership in agro-hoods. Blockchain technology enables fractional ownership, breaking down traditional ownership barriers. Through tokenization, farmers can divide ownership of their farms into smaller, tradable units. This fractional ownership model opens doors for individuals to invest in agriculture even with limited capital and become partial owners of farms. Furthermore, the concept of agro-hoods emerges, where partial owners can visit and share farming spaces. Agro-hoods provide a sense of community, shared resources, and the opportunity to participate in farming activities collectively. Owners can engage in agricultural practices, learn from each other, and strengthen the bond between farmers and consumers. 3. Agriculture DAOs. Agriculture DAOs are decentralized organizations governed by smart contracts and token holders. These DAOs allow stakeholders to participate in decision-making, share profits, and collectively manage farming operations. Agriculture DAOs leverage the benefits of Web 3.0 technology to create a fair and transparent ecosystem for farmers and investors. By creating agriculture DAOs, farmers gain access to funding, expertise, and wider market reach. DAO participants can vote on key decisions, contribute skills, or provide resources to support farming initiatives. This collaborative approach empowers farmers, improves financial inclusion, and fosters a more equitable and sustainable agricultural system. In summary, Web 3.0 technology and agriculture DAOs present transformative opportunities for the agricultural industry. Through decentralized networks, smart contracts, fractional ownership, and the concept of agro-hoods, farmers and investors can actively participate, connect, and shape the future of agriculture. These advancements promote transparency, sustainability, and community engagement, redefining the relationship between farmers and their stakeholders in exciting and innovative ways. Chapter 1.3, What is your why? The moringa tree industry generates over $9 billion a year in sales. That number is projected to double by 2030. There are hundreds of products that can be made from moringa using the leaves, the seeds, and the seed pod known as the drumstick fruit. Moringa is the most nutritious plant on land. Products from moringa can range from plant food, animal food, to people food. The largest portion of those consumers are using moringa for plant and animal food. Ask yourself, what is your why? Why do you want to grow moringa? Is it for personal use, or is it for plants and animals? Do you want to make a living from moringa? Who is buying moringa? Farmers of all kinds are buying extract made from moringa leaves called biostimulant to increase their crop yields up to 40%. It's a soil amendment for all fruit and vegetable plants. It helps farmers increase crop yields while spending less on synthetic fertilizers. Other farmers are buying fresh moringa moringa leaves, or dried loose leaf, or pelletized powder to feed their livestock, chicken, goats, and pigs. It helps to increase egg and milk production. Most people are buying moringa because it is anti-inflammatory, a complete protein, and can be used as a supplement for humans as well. Ultimately, you may start selling teas and powders for people, but to grow your business, you'll want to scale. Progress through the moringa journey, offering different moringa products for different uses. Offer the seed oil alone with the powder. Later, you'll realize to make more money from moringa, you'll want to utilize other people's properties that are growing even more moringa than you and sell it as a biostimulant extract for plant food. The powder sells for animal feed, you'll get more sales and make more money from moringa in agriculture. Farmers buy in bulk. Farmers are also buying the seeds in bulk to grow their own moringa trees in large quantities. Usually farmers grow about an acre of moringa for every 10 acres of other crops or pasture to help supplement their soil and feed their animals. Since moringa is a source of protein, vitamins, and minerals, the leaf powder is also great for breastfeeding moms and children. Moringa's market is for the sick, the healthy, and the elderly. Every part of the moringa tree is valuable and can be used by many industries. Here's my quick tip. Take nothing else away from me today. If you're trying to make money from moringa but never grew anything before in your life, start small and grow a few trees first. Get a feel for the tree's characteristics. It is imperative to know there is no single farmer that grows all their own food. They rely on others. You may not be able to grow all the moringa on your property to support yourself. Consider the idea of networking and selling moringa that is also grown on other properties. In that case, consider something about moringa that you are passionate about, that is your why. Example, I'm passionate about growing my own food and realized moringa powder can be used on plants as a soil supplement to yield more food, so now I promote moringa as a biostimulant. The biostimulant extract is made at a USDA certified organic facility in Nicaragua on a 1,000-acre moringa farm. Not only am I growing moringa on my farm, on other people's properties, but I've also teamed up with bigger farmers to help sell their products. It's a team effort, and if your why is to make a living, don't hold yourself back from making more money. I did that for many years thinking I could grow everything myself to live off the land and support myself completely. It's possible, but difficult to operate like that in business. Start off selling small amounts of your own moringa from your own trees for human consumption, while simultaneously focusing on building relationships and make money from selling biostimulant for soil supplements. Offer USDA powder for animal consumption to scale your moringa business exponentially. That's exactly what I've done. Knowing it makes a lot more money in the agricultural space than the retail space, I started selling moringa trees first at farmers markets, dried leaves for tea, then seed and eventually oil. Now, I mostly focus on selling large quantities of moringa biostimulant extract and animal feed powder to farmers. They buy in bulk, and I source mostly all of it from Nicaragua. Let me put it into perspective. Out of the $9 billion sold annually around the world, $5 billion was sold in moringa biostimulants and soil amendments. Another $3 billion was made selling moringa for animal food, while only $1 billion was generated and sold annually for moringa to be eaten by humans. There is much more money to be made in the moringa business, growing it for plants and animals, than for humans. Humans are just now starting to eat more moringa, which is why the moringa tree industry will reach $20 billion globally in just 5 years. Moringa is native to India and Africa and has continued to increase in value on the global food market as a profitable cash crop for the last 20 years. Now moringa is growing commercially in over 20 countries around the world. Although today, 99% of all USDA certified organic moringa is grown outside of the USA. That's right, mostly all moringa is imported from India, Africa, Philippines, or Central America. Today, USA consumers really want USDA certified organic, but there aren't any substantial operations in the USA. Moringa that is USA grown is not USDA certified organic because of the climate. It's too cold for profit in most areas. Currently, there are only 2 USDA certified organic moringa farms in the USA. One is in Texas. It took a serious hit over the winter. It's just getting started over again. The other operation is in Puerto Rico, and that supply is only used for private research. How can the USA meet the demands for domestic USA grown moringa? I believe if we teach more people about moringa, more people will be interested in growing moringa over the summer when it's hot. Grow Moringa Inc. is an educational resource. If you'd like to learn more about growing moringa as a farmer, continue reading. You might be asking yourself, why isn't USDA certified organic moringa grown in the USA? Well, there are some climate limitations. They don't like the cold temperate weather, so that reduces the season and time in which farmers can grow moringa for production. Also, the USA has the highest cost of labor out of all countries. Who is even going to do all the seeding and harvesting work at a cheap enough price? Not to mention, moringa has many medicinal uses, and there may be some corporate entities that don't want moringa to be grown in the USA. It could disrupt current agricultural industries. It's like making hemp illegal in the 1930s so the newspaper and wood industries could thrive. Did you know that the molecular structure of moringa was synthesized and used in the formula for making Viagra and Midol? That's because moringa can be good for circulation and blood pressure. There may also be some underlying political reasons to keep moringa from becoming a more widely known crop for farmers. Why do you want to grow moringa? Chapter 1.4 Is Moringa Invasive? Moringa was recently placed on the invasive plant list in Florida, preventing it from being used as a tax incentive for the Green Belting program. There are no restrictions, permits, or regulations preventing you from growing or consuming moringa. There are no licenses to have moringa in your possession. Moreover, moringa on the invasive list is just a cautionary period for moringa because it is non-native to North America. It's a fast-growing softwood that could attract invasive pests to the flowers and live in the trunk of the trees. Placing moringa on the invasive list is to keep a close eye on any environmental issues that could arise from incorporating it in yards, gardens, and farms that could allow moringa to reach the wild where it could naturalize. Moringa is the most nutritious plant on land. Placing it on the invasive list could also be an opportunity to reduce the amount of people growing it and having the benefits in their backyards. Let's consider other reasons why it may be on the invasive list. The excess material from the drumsticks can create a lot of organic material on the ground, which could cause mold, bacteria, fungus, and other foreign pathogens to form. That's also why it should not be planted in parks or public spaces. It could attract excess bugs if unmanaged. Moringa trees don't really spread and sprout from the root like bamboo, which may be a concern for invasiveness in some plants like curry and neem. Moringa seeds do, however, have a high germination rate if they're not managed. The mothers could produce new trees a distance from the main tree because the seeds also have wings, another category for invasiveness potential. Moringa could also be on the invasive list because a small handful of families dictate what is going to be grown in Florida. Sugar and citrus have been Florida's biggest crops for over 100 years, and the state overall is only second in total agricultural GDP to California, which is also why any threat to agricultural control must be met with caution. Incorporating new plants could disrupt profits for those families tied to big ag. They are also closely related to big pharma. If moringa is being used in several pharmaceuticals, it may not be good to grow it near the population that is using the medicine. They could just eat it right off the tree. That's not good for business. Florida has been an agricultural mecca and research grounds for many years. Looking deeper into the invasive topic, I don't blame Florida for being extra cautious though. Look at what happened to kudzu, an agricultural crop grown in Florida 100 years ago as a starchy tuber for calories and making baby formula. It's now wild and taking over areas and suffocating trees and plants because it can bind over top trees and suffocate anything living. You might have seen it growing along roads, smothering the tops of trees. I'm not too worried about moringa's political climate. Co-ops and collectives have immense power in numbers, which could sway policies and change the views of any administration. Moringa farmers can unite more easily with supportive groups in the national and state capitals petitioning for moringa to be recognized as a guarded agricultural crop. Then, growing moringa could garner grants and support from states like Florida to grow moringa as a green belt tree with tax incentives. We're writing a bill now that would make moringa the Florida state vegetable and Florida state fruit. If passed, we could also receive a multi-million-dollar grant that would be divided amongst Florida moringa farmers. Moringa is the only plant in the world to have both high-quality nutritious vegetable with the green drumsticks garnering multiple industrial uses. Chapter 1.5 Starting Your Moringa Business. We buy moringa. That's right. We are a global network of growers, buyers, and sellers. List your moringa for sale in the members area. If you are just getting started, you're in the right place. Plant a seed and begin your moringa journey. It will pay off 100 times once you learn more about moringa growing conditions. The Grow Moringa sales team may also buy your moringa directly. If you are not going to grow anything until you've secured one buyer to purchase your entire crop, email us with more details about your property. We could put a contract in place to buy your entire supply once it's ready. If you're only able to provide your property to grow moringa, but don't have the physical ability and you'd like someone to come to your property to harvest the moringa trees for you, we'd love to utilize your space. The Grow Moringa Collective serves members best by connecting you with laborers and harvesters. We have hundreds of people training with us now in the members area who can help absentee growers harvest their trees. As a service to our members, we help to organize harvests and provide you with a trained and ready labor pool of harvesters to keep your moringa trees properly managed. Members of the Grow Moringa Collective may be able to help harvest your moringa trees. Some members are listed as harvesters. Contact a member and paid for directly from you. There is a members database to see who might be able to help. Grow Moringa is a decentralized collective of growers. There are no employees currently. It is recommended that if you want to hire someone for help, hire a trained member who is skilled at harvesting moringa. Members help each other as much as possible. The collective is decentralized. It is imperative that if you want to start your moringa business to be hands-on with the operation as much as you possibly can. If you want someone to do all the work for you, it will significantly cut into your profits. You'll make more profit if you start out learning how to do things yourself right and efficiently for your own operation to grow. There will be more startup services offered by the collective as membership grows. If you are interested in starting a moringa business, sprout trees in biodegradable pots and sell them individually or by the tray. Once you have a farm, offer fresh moringa greens for people to come into your field for a U-pick. There are many creative ways to get started and make sales. I started selling moringa trees in pots at the farmers market in 2016 and it expanded into this business today. At least with this book, Grow Moringa, the ultimate guide, you have access to the members area and other growers and sellers to help you win. You can sell your moringa to anyone for any price. A member of the collective has complete autonomy to run their own moringa business as they see fit. Create your own business name, logo, and set your own prices and offer any product you'd like on your website or other listings. Even if you only have one moringa tree and it has 10 drumsticks, don't let them go to waste. Give them away to someone who wants to eat them. Sell the drumsticks fresh for $1 each or $10 divided by LB. Let the drumsticks dry out and harvest the seeds. Plant the seeds into trees and sell the trees or sell the seeds without any permits or regulations. There are many places in our network to post and get sales. Let other moringa enthusiasts know that you have a few seeds for sale and possibly ship them to another interested grower. The Grow Moringa Collective is providing the members area platform for you to promote your moringa. The members area is a sales platform for buyers to meet growers directly, cutting out the middleman. If you are not interested in joining any memberships or making any kind of sales posts in the members area to sell your moringa, we may be able to purchase all of your moringa under contract. Reach out to us via email. Once your personal source of moringa is available, it will be good to get a certificate of analysis for soil testing and a nutritional food grade testing of the leaf material. These tests will make sure no heavy metals are present in your soil or moringa leaves. Then we can move forward with a contract to purchase your moringa at wholesale prices on a consistent basis. The extra precaution makes sure we're able to turn around and sell your moringa safely. As a reader of this guide, you have the luxury of participating in community-supported agriculture. Schedule a harvest with a certified trained member to prune your moringa trees for you. The harvester is going to turn around and sell your greens. We have a recommended compensation plan in place for members and harvesters. Growers should earn $1 divided by kg of wet weight at the time they leave your property. Or you could drop your moringa material off at a local processing facility and get paid by weight for dropping the moringa off in an organized fashion, placing different materials like leaves or drumsticks in separate bins. We don't have physical locations yet, but could have one in Florida soon. If you're already a commercial grower in another country and have moringa products in bulk from India or Africa and you'd like to find consistent buyers in the USA, we'd love to form a partnership. Contact us directly. You are also welcome to enter the members area to promote your moringa directly to other members. Make sales posts within the members area and even help the collective to fulfill orders that come directly from the website. Essentially, becoming a certified and trusted supplier. For example, if an order comes into growmoringa.com and the buyer is near you and you are a certified supplier, you'd be the one shipping, delivering, and getting paid for fulfilling the order directly to the buyer. The collective does not have a storage facility to distribute your moringa. Supply orders directly to the buyer. Now that you have access to the members area, you'll have access to hundreds of other moringa enthusiasts in the USA that are starting their moringa businesses and need moringa in bulk to put in their smoothie shops and handmade moringa products. We get calls all the time asking if we have 100 kilograms of moringa powder available for sale that needs to be USDA certified organic. If you have great moringa that we can supply for these larger orders, please contact us and we'll buy moringa from you. Our WhatsApp is 813-567-3100. If you are in the USA with several acres of land but it's not being utilized, there is a huge market for you to jump into growing moringa for profit. It's still very early in the moringa industry. Some common questions we get asked are, how much of my moringa will you buy from me? Will you buy my moringa consistently? How much will I make if I start growing moringa? How soon will I see ROI? I can tell you that growing peanuts can be profitable. Growing anything can be profitable with the right plan. This guide will help you formulate a successful plan. The Grow Moringa Collective is a decentralized organization that consists of individuals, businesses, and co-opuses. Most of the individuals are interested in buying moringa in small quantities directly from farmers and growers. This collective helps farmers reach more customers. If you already have moringa in bulk, there are 2 ways to sell your moringa with the Grow Moringa Collective. 1, directly to other members in the members area by reaching out to people yourself. 2, if you don't want to deal with people, contact us directly within the private members area. We can create a sales contract with you for more buying consistency and knowing how much you will make and how much you will need to provide us for orders. The uses agriculture industry is catching on to moringa's popularity and has discovered its use not only for human consumption, but its value as a biofuel, organic soil amendment, and plant biostimulant. Moringa is a natural pesticide and, more importantly, a staple protein source for animals. I've been a moringa farmer for 8 years, growing on my property now since 2020 in Plant City. Before that, I planted and established thousands of trees in over 300 locations in the Tampa Bay area. I've been interviewed by John Kohler from Growing Your Greens and have processed and shipped over 10,000 packages myself to moringa buyers. From shipping moringa trees in pots, moringa seeds, and making moringa products by hand like seed oil and moringa powder, I will have made $1 million from moringa since 2015. It has provided me with everything I have today. My entire business is based on moringa. As a cash crop, moringa can help kickstart your plant journey and turn a garden hobby into a profitable career. It can be a food source for yourself and others. It can serve as a food source for your plants and as a biostimulant in extract or powder form. Moringa trees can act as pioneer plants in your operation, helping to establish other crops by providing shade in the summer for young plants. The soft taproot is very fast growing and helps to break up compacted soils. Because moringa is such a fast-growing tree, it can produce enough organic material and biomass to restore soil conditions quickly through the chop and drop method to add organic matter and topsoil to a region. To help build the soil microbiology, moringa can create shade in hot zones because it loves full sun when grown in the ground and is a drought-tolerant tree, which means it needs very little water to survive, another benefit for growers around the world. As water shortages continue to occur, moringa can be planted in areas with little to no irrigation. Therefore, with the least number of inputs, moringa growers can achieve maximum outputs and increase their yields and profits. Because moringa is one of the most nutritious plants to eat on the planet and it's super fast growing, it can be eaten abundantly. Although, most people don't even know how to prepare moringa in a recipe or even how to use moringa in the kitchen or garden. GrowMoringa.com has several moringa recipes and provides visitors with an innovative approach to making food from moringa. Moringa can also be used in cosmetic products. It has anti-aging and antioxidant properties in the oil. It's super valuable. You could get started by educating others about moringa from the information in this book. Once you complete the manual, you'll be fully equipped to make better decisions and avoid some of the mistakes I've made while growing moringa over the last 8 years. The Grow Moringa Collective members area will also introduce you to the wonderful world of regenerative agriculture, sustainable farming, and the moringa tree industry. Chapter 1.6, Licensing and Labels. It's important to obtain a business license to legally operate any entity. It is imperative to have your income and expenses accounted for with a tax plan. To get a business checking account with a bank, a business license with the state and an EIN number is required. In the following section, I'll share with you some of the rules and regulations I learned while running and operating a moringa business for the last 8 years. My journey to start Grow Moringa Inc. began in architecture school with only 2 more years until graduation. I knew that getting a job in an architecture studio would not be as fulfilling for me right away. I wanted to learn more about plants and nature. I had been in the classroom for 26 years. Up until then, my whole life was in school. I didn't want to go straight to working at an office, so I thought about what type of business would help me become successful doing something I love outside in nature with very little to no rules or regulations. Being an architect can be very stressful. Everyone in the building depends on everything to function properly with lots of rules and regulations. Because of my past jobs and experiences, I was gravitating towards opening a plant nursery. I learned how to plant a seed and thought about how a penny within a few months can grow into a plant that can be sold for $10. That sounds like a great business plan. I had already been in business at a young age, selling candy, and began owning vending machines and locations cash flowing by the age of 16. Naturally, I decided with 2 years remaining of architecture school to start a plant nursery, but what would I sell with little to no rules or regulation? I had to learn the plant business, so before selling anything I came up with a name and started painting my van with my new plant nursery name and logo. Someone saw the name on the van and asked if I wanted to visit their plant nursery. After stopping by their place, I was offered a job and began working and learning the nursery business. I treated the position like an internship. Then, while trying to figure out what plants to start selling in my own plant nursery, I asked my bosses, what's the secret to a successful plant nursery business? They said grow one plant really well and get known around town for having that one plant and go big. Then, after some success with that one plant, expand out to offer more plants, but only have 5 plants at most in total for sale. Get your top 5. It seemed difficult to think about what type of plant to start in my nursery. There are thousands of them. I wanted my number 1 plant to be impactful to society and serve a purpose. It had to be something edible with the least rules and regulations. One day, I came across Dr. Sebai and he mentioned the moringa tree. I did some research and was blown away by the benefits of moringa. Then, while working, I noticed my boss had moringa trees in pots. He said I could have all 80 moringa trees in the pots for a day's worth of work. It was at that time I decided moringa was going to be my number 1. It still seemed like there were a lot of rules and regulations with selling the leaves as tea, powder, and capsule, so I kept growing the idea of offering moringa trees in my nursery to sell. My bosses told me how they got started selling their plants at farmers markets, then how they got larger jobs and were able to offer more plants wholesale. They gave me a small section of the nursery to keep those 80 trees and begin growing my plant nursery. Soon I could go to farmers markets. If I was going to be in the moringa business, I wanted to be the person supplying the large farms with the trees. I could get orders for thousands of trees at a time. After figuring that moringa was going to be my number 1 plant, I went to the Florida Department of State website known as sundas.org and registered the company as an LLC. After that, I applied for an EIN number on irs.gov. It's free and instant. You'll need to bring a copy of the official IRS document with your EIN number when making a business bank account. They'll also check online to see if the business is registered with the state. Once you open the business bank account, apply for a credit card right away and put all expenses on the card to build a credit line with history. The next thing I needed to do was make some sales. Looking into the moringa tree further, there was no limiting restrictions in selling it as a tree in a plant nursery in Florida. There is no special permit needed to grow or sell moringa trees. It's not like hemp or cannabis. The only concern is that moringa is on the invasive species list, but what did that mean? It's a special classification of plants that the Florida Department of Agriculture wants to keep a close eye on in case of any issues. They have a huge industry to protect, and if some plants are not managed, they can bring foreign pathogens and increase populations of pests and disease amongst the crops and animals that are already here. The reason to create the invasive species list is to monitor if that non-native plant could cause a threat to the environment. Could it endanger other plant species and animal populations? Moringa was placed on the list to do more research and to see if it could also be used as an agricultural crop. There are a lot of non-native species of plants grown in Florida as a crop, citrus being the most well known. A plant is placed on the invasive species list based on a series of about 30 questions, and it is ranked on a number system. There are categories to the invasive species list, and moringa is ranked in a lower category because it is not a vine. But the seeds do have wings and can travel in the wind, sprouting at a distance from their mother. Moringa trees are also very fast growing and can also propagate easily from cutting. Another factor for being on the list is that moringa trees produce a lot of seeds and material in their lifetime. That foreign material could endanger other living creatures, and having it on the invasive species list is more of a precaution. With moringa trees being grown in the USA for over 100 years now, there has not been a threat to having the moringa flowers wild in the environment. Given that Florida is in a tropical climate, things could grow all year without a break in the growing cycle, causing terrible problems much like the kudzu vine has done over the last 100 years. Luckily, only half of Florida is tropical, and every year, any moringa trees encountering frost conditions get killed or die back completely to the ground, many times never fully recovering from the damage. So, although moringa is on the invasive species list, the ranking is so low that there are no restrictions to growing it. The only issue with the moringa on the invasive species list is that it will not get recognized as a tree that can be used in green belting a property for tax incentives. The next step in making moringa tree sales is to sell in person at the farmers market and to list the trees in pots online, your own website, or on marketplaces like Facebook, eBay, and Etsy. Since the beneficial moringa leaves are being sold on the actual tree itself, it's classified as a plant and not a food product needing more licensing. To ship the trees to California, however, the trees needed to be inspected. So, I had to register for a nursery stock license with the Florida Department of Agriculture. When registering the LLC as a plant nursery, it doesn't need an inspection if you aren't shipping trees to California. That's because California has the strictest regulations when it comes to agriculture and plants. They require that all other states implement an inspection policy for all plants coming into California. They don't want any foreign pests or problems affecting their industry. If you are planning on shipping to California, California, opt for the inspection and have an agent inspect the plants to take a sample of your soil. The biggest threat to California's agriculture is nematodes. The plant inspector is going to take samples of the soil in the pots. The inspector does not advise shipping plants that are growing in the ground because of nematodes, especially outside of the state, is not acceptable, but growing plants to sell and ship from pots is much more accepted because of the nematode issue. Florida has the most nematodes and can affect crops if not properly managed. Nematodes prevent the roots of plants from absorbing nutrients, reducing yields. The space that the plants are in needs to be elevated. The moringa trees will need to be in pots and 18 from the ground. This reduces populations of nematodes for shipping to California. Once I received a nursery stock license, I needed to get a resale certificate from the Florida Department of Revenue. This will allow me to purchase goods wholesale, tax-free, and to also report my sales and pay taxes on that income each month. What if I decided to purchase 1,000 moringa trees wholesale and sell them online? That could be classified as a tax-exempt purchase, but the resale of those trees still pays taxes. I was ready for the farmer's market and had pretty much everything needed to make sales. I had a small space to call my own, a little nursery space at the nursery I worked at, and started planting seeds and sprouting moringa trees in pots there. They grew fast and I was able to attend a local market with moringa trees as my main and only product. The only thing the market managers asked for was general liability insurance in case my tent flew into someone else's. Things started going well. I was selling moringa trees at the farmer's market and I was able to get a merchant processor. I used Square and had a card swipe and chip reader to take fast card payments deposited directly to my business bank account. I got permission to use a commercial location on a main road and created a business listing on Google. I also obtained a business phone number and put my number anywhere and everywhere. I started working on my website and learned how to ship moringa trees. During that time, I also began planting trees on other people's properties in hopes of harvesting the leaves and selling them as tea and powder at the farmer's market. The very first day at the market, someone said they had a moringa tree and I could harvest their greens to make tea and powder. I asked the other vendors and managers what I needed to sell the moringa leaves. They said as long as the label is cottage rule, it's okay to sell at the market. That's because herbs and supplements are a cottage rule industry product that is acceptable to sell through someone's business without extensive rules and regulations. Not everything is acceptable cottage rule industry products, but I found that moringa leaves, tea, powder, and capsules are acceptable as an herbal supplement in cottage rule. Cottage rule. The highest percentage of online sales are for powder and capsules, but the moringa oleifera tree was originally designed and intended to produce drumsticks for fresh vegetable consumption and high oil content in the seeds. The leaves are a nutritional byproduct of developing the moringa tree for nutrient-dense drumsticks. For those with a moringa tree in their backyard, the most consumed part is the drumstick. It is cooked and eaten fresh in soups. In India, the drumstick is even more desirable than the leaves. The fresh leaves are also very appealing. It's a great way to consume moringa nutrients fresh from the tree. Once moringa leaves are pulled from the tree and dried, there can be some precautions to take if preparing the raw material to consume or sell. Rules and regulations for selling moringa products to anyone are set in place to protect the consumer. Moringa can be grown for human consumption, animal consumption, or plant consumption. Moringa is in high demand and there are practices in place to educate growers and retailers on how to prepare moringa products safely. Florida law allows individuals to use their unlicensed home kitchens to produce certain goods for sale that present a low risk of foodborne illness. Cottage food operators can produce and sell these products directly to consumers without obtaining a food permit from the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Gross sales for a cottage food operation must not exceed $250,000 annually. Cottage food operations do not require a license or permit from the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services (FDACS) and are not inspected by any state government entity. Gross sales for a cottage food operation must not exceed $250,000 annually. A cottage food operation may advertise for sale, offer for sale, and accept payment for cottage food products in person, on their website, or by mail order. Cottage food products may be sold and delivered directly to the consumer's private event venue such as a wedding or birthday party, or by mail. Sales of cottage food products are prohibited wholesale. Cottage food products must be labeled in accordance with the requirements as outlined in Section 500.80-3 Florida Statutes and United States Code of Federal Regulations Title 21, Part 101. All cottage food products offered for sale to the public must be labeled, made in a cottage food operation that is not subject to Florida's food safety regulations. Quick reference definitions. Cottage food operation means a natural person or an entity that produces or packages cottage food products at the residence of a natural person, or producing them at the residence of a natural person who has an ownership interest in the entity and sells such products in accordance with Section 500.80 Florida statutes. Cottage food product may not be time, temperature controlled for safety TCS, food formerly potentially hazardous food. This means the final product may not be a food product that requires time, temperature control for safety to limit pathogenic microorganism growth or toxin formation. An animal food that is raw or heat treated in a way that needs to be heated or cooled is not cottage rule. A plant food that is heat treated or consists of raw seed sprouts is not cottage rule. Cut melons, cut leafy greens, cut tomatoes or mixtures of cut tomatoes that are not modified in a way so that they are unable to support pathogenic microorganism growth or toxin formation is not acceptable. Garlic and oil mixtures that are not modified in a way so that they are unable to support pathogenic microorganism growth or toxin formation are not acceptable. What types of cottage foods can you produce? Loaf breads, rolls and biscuits, cakes, pastries and cookies, candies, confections, and honey, jams, jellies and preserves made from high-acid fruits only, fruit pies and dried fruits, dry herbs, seasonings and mixtures, homemade pasta, cereals, trail mixes and granola, coated or uncoated nuts, vinegar and flavored vinegars, popcorn and popcorn balls, nut butters including almond, peanut, cashew, etc. What types of food are cottage food prohibited? Salsa, barbecue sauces, ketchups and or mustards, canned fruits and vegetables, chutneys, vegetable butters and jellies, flavored oils, hummus, garlic dip and salsa, fish or shellfish products, canned pickled products such as corn relish, pickles, sauerkraut, raw seeds and sprouts, bakery goods which require any type of refrigeration such as cream, custard or meringue pies and cakes or pastries with cream cheese icings or fillings, eggs, milk, dairy products including hard, soft and cottage cheeses and yogurt, cut fresh fruits and or veggies, juices made from fresh fruits or veggies, iced and or iced products, fresh or dried meat or meat products including jerky, focaccia-style breads with vegetables and or cheeses, homemade icings and frostings made from dairy-based cream cheese and or butter, any products containing hemp extract or CBD derived from the cannabis plant. Labels. The cottage food law requires specific labeling requirements for the sale of cottage food products. A cottage food operation may only sell cottage food products which are prepackaged with a label affixed that contains the following information. Include the name and address of the cottage food operation. Include the name of the cottage food product. Include the ingredients of the cottage food product in descending order of predominance by weight. Include the net weight or net volume of the cottage food product. Include allergen information as specified by federal labeling requirements. If any nutritional claim is made, include appropriate nutritional information as specified by federal labeling requirements. Include the following statement printed in at least 10-point type in a color that provides a clear contrast to the background label. Made in a cottage food operation that is not subject to Florida's food safety regulations. What does allergen labeling, as specified in federal labeling requirements, mean? It means you must identify any of your ingredients if they are made from one of the following food groups: milk, eggs, wheat, peanuts, soybeans, fish, and tree nuts. Moringa powder can be added to any of the following products and be sold at a farmer's market with cottage rule labeling, as moringa cookies, moringa jam, or moringa cake. If you have an ingredient made with a wheat-based product, you can include the allergen in the ingredient list. For example, white bread with the following ingredient listing: whole wheat flour, water, salt, and yeast. In this example, the statement whole wheat flour meets the requirements of federal law. After the ingredient list, include an allergen statement. Contains ingredients contained in the product. For example, a white bread with the following ingredients: whole wheat flour, water, sodium caseinate, salt, and yeast. This allergen warning should be written as contains wheat and milk. The contains statement must reflect all the allergens found in the product. In this example, sodium caseinate comes from milk. Are there any special requirements for tree nuts labeling for allergens? Yes, if your cottage food has tree nuts as an ingredient, you must identify which tree nut you are using. For example, if you made nut bread, an acceptable ingredient list would be ingredients: wheat flour, water, almonds, salt, yeast. The following would not be acceptable: ingredients, flour, water, nuts, salt, yeast. Am I required to send products to a laboratory to obtain an official ingredient list, or is it something I can put together on my own? You are not required to have your product analyzed by a laboratory to obtain an official ingredient list. If you use a prepared item in your recipe, you must list sub-ingredients as well. For example, only listing soy sauce is not acceptable. You would need to list soy sauce, wheat, soybeans, and salt on your label. Allergen labeling, as specified in federal labeling requirements, must also be included. I am concerned that some of my product ingredients that are not allergens are trade secrets. Therefore, listing all my ingredients would lead to unfair competition. Do I have to list all my ingredients, or can I protect my trade secrets? According to federal regulations, Food and Drug Administration FDA 21 CFR 101.100 grams 1-2, exceptions to labeling can be made. If the Commissioner of Food and Drugs finds that alleged secret ingredients are harmless, an exemption may be granted. You should contact the FDA to discuss and propose an exemption from labeling. Do I have to include my home address on my product labeling, or is a post office box sufficient? You must use the physical address of your home kitchen on your product label, not a post office box. The purpose of including an address on product labels is in case of a recall or trace back associated with a foodborne illness complaint or outbreak. If I make and sell wedding or other specialty cakes, how can I meet the labeling requirements when I can't stick a label on the cake? For cakes that are not easily packaged, you must include all labeling requirements on the invoice and deliver the invoice with the cake. If boxed, the label must be included on the box. Chapter 1.7 Laws and Regulations. Florida Laws and Regulations for the Moringa Tree Industry. Several laws directly affect or regulate the moringa tree industry and other nursery and agriculture businesses. Adherence to these laws is not only the responsibility of management, but in many cases, of every person involved. The following does not include all of the laws and regulations, nor does it go into great detail. The purpose is to ensure that moringa businesses are aware of the laws they are most likely going to encounter. The Plant Inspection Law. Florida Statutes 581.141 and 581.211. Florida Administrative Code 5B. The purpose of this law is the protection of agricultural interests of the state of Florida. Most nursery operators consider this a beneficial law in multiple ways. It helps to protect their product, and it helps them to detect and apply control measures before plant pest problems become serious. The law requires everyone who grows, buys, and sells or distributes plants to register with the Division of Plant Industry of the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. For the purpose of the law, only those who grow are considered nurseries. Nurseries pay an annual fee for inspection based on their inventory of plants, with a minimum of $25 to a maximum of $460. The same fee structure applies to stock dealers, brokers, and agents. Specialists from the division regularly inspect nursery stock in nurseries. They conduct continuing surveys for all types of agricultural plant pests and periodically inspect nursery stock in dealers' locations. These specialists also provide inspections for out-of-state shipments, out-of-country shipments when special certification is required, and for a number of other special purposes. Special fees apply to these inspections. A valid inspection tag issued by the DPI is required when plants are sold wholesale, for shipment out of state, and for shipment by a common carrier. Special tags are required on the sale of citrus plants. The Plant Inspection Law provides for quarantine of plants when serious plant pests are found. Additional measures, which under certain situations may include destruction of nursery stock, may be required for emergency plant pest problems. Detailed information is available from the Division of Plant Industry, Florida Department of Agriculture, PO Box 147,100, Gainesville, FL 32614. Preservation of Native Flora. Florida Statutes 581.185, Florida Administrative Code 5B40. This section of law provides for the protection of a great number of native plants by prohibiting or restricting their harvest, collection, or removal. Licensed certified nursery growers, however, are allowed to sell commercially grown plants of protected species. Any nursery or person contemplating buying, selling, digging, or transporting plants from their natural habitat should be aware of the provisions of this law. Additional information is available from the Division of Plant Industry. Florida Viability Law. Florida Statutes 581.142, Florida Administrative Code 5B. The intent of the viability law is to prevent the sale of nursery stock that is not living or that is so deteriorated that it is not capable of living. Basic requirements are that at the time of sale, nursery stock must be free of defects that would prevent the essential parts from functioning normally, have a functional root system or the ability to grow one, have trunks and branches capable of transporting fluids, have leaves capable of performing essential functions, or free of leaves, must have the ability to produce new leaves. The law further requires protection of nursery stock when on display at sales outlets and spells out minimum requirements of viability. Additional information can be obtained from the DPI at the address listed above. Sales and Use Tax Law. Florida Statutes 212.06. The information presented here is a limited and an approximate summary of the regulations. It should not be applied to actual tax situations. This law requires the collection of a sales tax by those persons or concerns engaged in the sale or rental of products or commodities. As a rule, if you sell a product and you cannot prove the transaction was exempt from sales tax, you are responsible for payment of the tax. Unless a seller receives from the purchaser a resale certificate or an exemption certificate which states the property was purchased from resale or some exempt purpose, sales tax is required to be collected. This certificate must be received by the seller prior to or at the time of sale. Businesses providing certain services, as well as products, are governed by varying sales tax requirements depending on the nature of the contract or agreement. A summary of certain types of situations is included below. Retailer, sales tax is to be collected at the time of sale, except when a certificate of exemption applies. Wholesaler, all sales of nursery stock are presumed to be retail sales and must have sales tax added unless the buyer presents to the seller a resale certificate or an exemption certificate. Out-of-state sales may be exempt depending on the specific situation. Sellers need to be aware of provisions on out-of-state sales. Landscape contractor, a landscape contractor who uses a lump sum, cost, plus fixed fee or guaranteed price contract does not have to collect sales tax if she pays tax on items purchased to use on the job. If, however, the landscape contractor itemizes the materials and supplies, then sales tax is required from the customer, and the landscape contractor should use a resale exemption when buying plants and supplies under this premise. Landscape maintenance. A landscape maintenance contractor does not need to collect sales tax for maintenance only. Installation of plants would be governed by the rules for landscape contractors. Interior maintenance. Interior maintenance is governed by the same provisions as for landscape maintenance unless plant material is provided, in which case see the following paragraph. Interiorscape installation. In lump sum interiorscape contracts, no tax is charged. However, taxes are charged in lease agreements. When interiorscape plants are installed and become a part of the real estate, the rules discussed under the landscape contractor section would be applicable. Brokers. A broker must charge tax unless the broker receives an exemption certificate or a resale certificate. Out-of-state sales. It depends on whether the sale is deemed as having taken place in Florida or outside of the state as to whether tax is charged. Details are included in state regulations. Purchase items by nursery operators. Many items purchased by nursery operators for use in their businesses are exempt. These include items that are incorporated into the finished plant materials. Specific rules should be checked for important details. Again, all laws, rules, and regulations should be carefully checked for specific details. The inclusion of the information here is simply to convey general information. Detailed sales tax information is available from the Department of Revenue at door.myfloridea.com/. Agricultural License and Bond Law. Florida Statutes 604.19 and 604.20 and Florida Administrative Code 5A1. The Florida License and Bond Law was enacted in 1941 to give market protection to producers of perishable agricultural commodities. Because the product the Florida grower is selling is perishable and indistinguishable from other like products once removed from the shipping container, the producer is at the mercy of the receiver for payment. There is no opportunity to simply return the product. Without the administrative process offered by the law, Florida growers would be faced with lengthy and expensive civil suits. In most cases, the cost recovery would be greater than the value of the product. The law is specifically designed for the protection of the grower and includes all sod, hay, and horticulture. License and bond requirement. This law requires dealers in agricultural products, example landscape contractors, plant brokers, or nursery stock dealers. They need to be licensed with Florida Department of Agriculture's Bureau of Agriculture dealers licenses if they buy directly from the producer of producer's agent and pay for that product in any form other than cash currency. Before receiving a license, the dealer must post a surety bond or certificate of deposit made payable to the department. The bond amount must be twice the dollar amount during the month of maximum transaction in the preceding 12-month period, not greater than $100,000 or less than $5,000. The license fee can be up to $500 depending on the volume of business transacted by the dealer. Fines are not to exceed $2,500. It is unlawful for any dealer in plant products who comes within the terms of this law to engage in such business in this state without a state license issued by the department. Exceptions. The bond certificate of deposit is in place to establish the financial responsibility of the dealer and to assist in the final payment of the product. The license and bond law currently covers all agricultural products except tobacco, sugarcane, and timber. Citrus is also exempt because citrus dealers operate under the Florida Citrus License and Bond Law. Dealers who pay for their purchases with cash currency at the immediate time of purchase. Growers or groups of growers selling their own product. Dealers who operate as bonded licenses under the Federal Packers and Stockyards Act. Retail operations that purchase less than $1,000 per month from Florida producers. Claims against dealers. The law also requires that dealers account quickly and accurately for the products they purchase or handle for Florida producers. If a producer or his agent feels that he has not been properly paid for his product, he can file a claim with the department against the dealer's license. The department may issue a final order in the case after presentation of all the facts in the manner. If it is found that the dealer does not comply with the order to pay, then the department will order the bonding company to pay. In cases where the bond is not large enough to pay all claims against the dealer, the funds are distributed pro rata to the claimants. Claims must be filed with the department within 6 months of the date of sale and must involve at least $500. Additional information about the license and bond law can be obtained at www.freshfromfloridea.com. Pesticide application. Florida Statutes 487 and 482. Applying pesticides correctly. A guide for pesticide applicators is a highly recommended reference for the nursery and landscape professional. It is published by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and available through the University of Florida, IFAS. It includes important information on topics such as pesticide laws, pesticide equipment and calibration procedures, safety precautions that are needed in any pesticide application, and pesticide cleanup and container disposal. Every nursery should have this publication within reach. 2 Florida laws regulate the application of pesticides. The 2 laws are often confused because licenses are issued under each. The first, the Florida Pesticide Law Chapter 487, is administered through the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services in Tallahassee. Under this law, a license is required for anyone who applies restricted use pesticides. Nurseries, citrus groves, golf courses, parks, and cemeteries are examples of where this license could be used. There are 3 license classifications under Chapter 487. The appropriate classification depends on who employs the licensee. A certified private applicator license is for the use of restricted use pesticides on property owned or rented by the licensee's employer. This category applies to most nursery situations. A certified public applicator license applies to persons employed by a governmental agency, and a certified commercial applicator license is required by a person hired to apply restricted use pesticides to agricultural crops. The holder of this license may supervise up to 15 unlicensed applicators, mixers, or loaders. Persons in the nursery business must take a core exam plus the ornamental turf pest control category exam to receive this license. Core exams for the ornamental and turf pest control category may be taken at any University of Florida, IFAS County Extension Office that offers category examinations. Contact them at solutionsforyourlife.ufl.edu. The second law, the Florida Structural Pest Control Law Chapter 482, enables the licensee to apply any pesticide to lawn and ornamental pests as a business. Licensed pest control businesses must have a certified operator at each business location. Minimum requirements, such as college credit or years of experience with a licensed business, must be met prior to taking a certification exam. In lieu of full certification, there are 2 categories of limited certification available under this law. These are limited certification available under this law. These are limited certification for commercial landscape maintenance and limited certification for government and private applicators. The former permits limited licensing to individuals to apply a narrow range of pesticides using a small 3-gallon or backpack sprayer for landscape maintenance other than turf. An example is the application of herbicides to control weeds in plant beds. A second type of permit allows for the application of pesticides to lawn and ornamentals only on the licensee's own business property, their employer's property, or governmental properties. A notable exception to Chapter 482 is that a yard worker who applies a homeowner's pesticides to their lawn or plants is exempt from licensing. However, the worker cannot supply their own pesticide equipment, use power equipment, or use anything other than a handheld container to apply the pesticide. For more information on pesticide applicator certification and licensing, contact the Florida Department of Agriculture Bureau of Licensing and Enforcement. Additional information about pesticide licensing is available from the University of Florida Pesticide Information Office at pested.ifas.ufl.edu. Worker Protection Standards. Environmental Protection Agency. The Federal Worker Protection Standard for agricultural pesticides was implemented by EPA in 1992. Its goal is to ensure the health and safety of agricultural workers and pesticide handlers who work in agricultural establishments. The Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services is the state agency that implements and enforces this federal regulation in Florida. The Division of Agricultural Environmental Services, Bureau of Compliance Monitoring is responsible for outreach, compliance assistance, interpretive guidance, enforcement, and limited training. WPS requires employers to take several precautionary steps to help prevent their employees from being exposed to pesticides. These steps include, but are not limited to, providing pesticide safety training to agricultural workers and pesticide handlers they employ, providing personal protective equipment and decontamination supplies to employees in order to minimize the risk of pesticide exposure, and providing information to employees so they know when, where, and what pesticides have been applied. The types of establishments covered under WPS are very specific. They include farms that produce agricultural crops such as oranges, peanuts, watermelons, etc. Also covered under WPS are greenhouses and plant nurseries. These establishments produce agricultural crops such as flowers, ferns, and ornamentals. Forestry operations that grow trees for the production of wood fiber or timber are also covered under the WPS. The following areas are not covered by WPS: golf courses, pasture lands, vertebrate pests, mosquito control, dwellings and other structures, and lawn and landscape maintenance. Only pesticides designed for use in the production of agricultural plants are covered under the WPS. If a pesticide is covered under the WPS, it will be stated on the label under the Agricultural Use Requirements section of the pesticide label. If a pesticide with WPS labeling is used on an agricultural establishment covered by the standard, WPS requirements must be complied with. The Florida Agricultural Worker Safety Act became effective July 1, 2004. Its intent is to ensure that agricultural workers employed in Florida receive protection from agricultural pesticides and are given information concerning agricultural pesticides. The law is implemented and enforced by the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. The specific provisions of FAWSA are as follows. Pesticide dealers, distributors, manufacturers, and importers selling agricultural pesticides must provide a material safety data sheet (MSDS) to the purchaser in written, printed, or electronic format. Agricultural employers must make available to farm workers upon request either an MSDS or fact sheet approved by the state or federal government in written format. FDACS must make available to trainers a one-page general agricultural safety sheet in a language understood by the worker and must include the following: 1. Illustrated instructions on preventing pesticide exposure and 2 toll-free telephone numbers to the Florida Poison Control Centers. The FAWSA prohibits the agricultural employer from taking any retaliatory action against employees who attempt to exercise their rights under this bill. Invasive species, Florida Statute 581.091, Florida Administrative Code 5B 57.007. Certain non-indigenous plant species have been termed biological pollutants because their presence upsets the balance among native species within natural and man-made ecosystems. Noxious weeds and undesirable plant species have the potential to persist, multiply, and spread into natural areas and often displace native plant life over a period of time. These plants then have the potential to become invasive. The Federal Noxious Weed Act contains a list of plants considered harmful. Additional lists of prohibited aquatic, wetland, and invasive plants are available through the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Florida statutes empower the Florida Division of Plant Industry to enforce regulations governing nurseries and the movement of nursery stock. These rules aim to control, eradicate, or prevent the spread of plant pests or harmful weeds. The division can label any pest, weed, or arthropod as a nuisance, including any plant or item infested or exposed to such pests. This means they could potentially spread and contaminate other plants or items. It is illegal to knowingly sell, offer for sale, or distribute any harmful weed or any plant or plant product infested with a pest that the department has declared a public nuisance or a threat to Florida's agricultural and horticultural interests. Aquatic vegetation plays an important role in maintaining and protecting water quality, providing shoreline stabilization, and ensuring balanced fish and wildlife populations. Therefore, Florida law requires all persons intending to control or remove aquatic vegetation from the waters of the state to obtain a permit from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. The Aquatic Plant Management Field Operations Section maintains offices strategically placed throughout the state and provide the following services: provide extension, education services concerning aquatic plant management, Annually survey the aquatic plant communities in approximately 450 public water bodies comprising 1.25 million acres. State laws will be covered further in the manual. Generally, most states are similar except California being the state with most rules and regulations for growing moringa. Chapter 1.8 The Moringa Tree Industry. The agriculture industry is of great diversity, making hundreds of different products from plants. We will be discussing the process of growing and packaging moringa trees in this guide. Not only can moringa be grown for biostimulants, but the seeds produce a high percentage of oil by weight, which can be used for biodiesel. That's one reason why it's called the Moringa oleifera tree. Ol is Latin for oil and ifera means producing, giving Moringa oleifera the nickname oil-producing trees. The leaves and every part of the moringa tree can be eaten or used in medical preparations. Moringa tree growers are comprised of wholesale agricultural growers, urban farmers, manufacturers, retailers, backyard growers, and gardeners. The moringa tree industry is now worldwide, making about $9 billion a year in sales, with projections to reach $20 billion by 2025. Moringa oleifera is the most widely cultivated species in the genus Moringa, the only genus in the plant family Moringaceae. Common names include moringa, drumstick tree, horseradish tree, and ben oil tree or benzoil tree. It is widely cultivated for its young seed pods and leaves used as vegetables and for traditional herbal medicine. Moringa seeds are also used for water purification. Moringa description. Moringa oleifera is a fast-growing, deciduous tree that can reach a height of 30-40 feet and trunk diameter of 1 to 5 feet. The bark has a whitish gray color and is surrounded by thick cork. Young shoots have purplish or greenish-white, hairy bark. The tree has an open crown of drooping, fragile branches, and the leaves build up a feathery foliage of tripinnate leaves. The flowers are fragrant and asexual, surrounded by 5 unequal, thinly veined, yellowish-white petals. The flowers are about half long and 3/4 broad. They grow on slender, hairy stalks in spreading or drooping flower clusters which have a length of 1 foot. Flowering begins within the first 6 months after planting. In seasonally cool regions, flowering only occurs once a year between April and June. In more constant seasonal temperatures and with constant rainfall, flowering can happen twice or even all year round. The fruit is a hanging, 3-sided brown capsule of 8-10 size which holds dark brown, globular seeds with a diameter around ½ in. The seeds have 3 whitish papery wings and are dispersed by wind and water. Moringa cultivation. In cultivation, the moringa tree is often cut back annually to 3-6 feet tall and allowed to regrow so the pods and leaves remain within arm's reach. Once a branch has made a seed pod, it no longer makes another pod on the same branch and the leaves will be very sparse. To get a much bushier tree, it is common to harvest the leaves and bring the trees back to arm's length each year. The moringa tree is grown mainly in semi-arid, tropical, and subtropical areas corresponding in the United States to USDA hardiness zones 9 and 10. It tolerates a wide range of soil conditions, but prefers a neutral to slightly acidic, well-drained sandy or loamy soil. In waterlogged soil, the roots tend to rot. Moringa is a sun and heat-loving plant and does not tolerate freezing or frost. Moringa is particularly suitable for dry regions as it can be grown using rainwater without expensive irrigation techniques. India is the largest producer of moringa with an annual production of 1.2 million tons of fruits from an area of 380 km2. Moringa is grown in home gardens in West Bengal and Odisha and as living fences in southern India and Thailand, where it is commonly sold in local markets. In the Philippines and Indonesia, it is known as malunggay and is commonly grown for its leaves which are used as food. Moringa is also actively cultivated by the World Vegetable Center in Taiwan, a center for vegetable research. In Haiti, it is grown as windbreaks and to help reduce soil erosion. More generally, moringa, also known as sajan in Trinidad, grows in the wild or is cultivated in Central America and the Caribbean, northern countries of South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, and various countries of Oceania. As of 2010, cultivation in Hawaii for commercial distribution in the United States is in its early stages. In tropical cultivation, soil erosion is a major problem. Therefore, the soil treatment must be as shallow as possible. Plowing is required only for high planting densities. In low planting densities, it is better to dig pits and refill them with the soil. This ensures good root system penetration without causing too much land erosion. The pits must be 1 to 2 feet deep and 2 to 3 feet wide. Propagation. Moringa can be propagated from seed or cuttings. Direct seeding is possible because the germination rate of Moringa oleifera is high. Moringa seeds can be germinated year-round in well-drained soil. Cuttings of 3 feet length and at least 1 in diameter with bark can be used for vegetative propagation. Use main stems for propagation, not the small green side branch connected to the leaves. For intensive leaf production, the spacing of plants should be 1 to 2 feet apart in a staggered line with conveniently spaced alleys to facilitate plantation management and harvests. Plant trees 10 to 15 feet apart from much larger trees for high seed pod production. Weeding and disease prevention are difficult because of the high density. In a semi-intensive production, the plants are spaced 2 to 3 feet apart. This gives good results with less maintenance. Moringa trees can also be cultivated in alleys as natural fences and associated with other crops. The distance between moringa rows in an agroforestry cultivation is usually between 2 to 5 feet. In India, the diversity of wild moringa types is large. This gives a good basis for breeding programs. In countries where moringa has been introduced, the diversity is usually much smaller among the cultivar types, like in the Americas. Locally well-adapted wild types, though, can be found in most regions, like the ones found in Tampa, FL. Because moringa is cultivated and used in different ways, there are different breeding aims. The breeding aims for an annual or a perennial plant are obviously different. The yield stability of fruits is an important breeding aim for the commercial cultivation in India, where moringa is cultivated as an annual. On less favorable locations, perennial cultivation has big advantages. Erosion is much smaller with perennial cultivation. In Pakistan, varieties have been tested for their nutritional composition of the leaves on different locations. The different breeding aims result in a different selection. India selects for a higher number of pods in dwarf or semi-dwarf varieties. Breeders in Tanzania, though, are selecting for higher oil content. Yield and harvest. Moringa oleifera can be cultivated for its leaves, pods, or its kernels for oil extraction and water purification. The yields vary widely depending on season, variety, fertilization, and irrigation regimen. Moringa yields best under warm, dry conditions with some supplemental organic fertilizer and rainwater or well irrigation. Harvest is done manually by hand with knives, sickles, and stabs with hooks attached. Collarding, coppicing, and lopping or pruning are recommended to promote branching, increase production, and facilitate harvesting. When the plant is grown from cuttings, the first harvest can take place 6-8 months after planting. Often, the fruits are not produced in the first year, and the yield is generally low during the first few years and the seeds are not as full or germinate as much. By year 2, it can produce around 300 pods if properly structured with the previous year's cutting of the branches to create more branches to hold the weight. By year 3, around 400,500 pods can be harvested from one Moringa oleifera tree. A good tree, 5 years old or more, can yield 1,000 or more pods in a year. In India, a hectare can produce 31 tons of pods per year. Under North Indian conditions, the fruits ripen during the summer. Sometimes, particularly in South India, flowers and fruit appear twice a year, so 2 harvests occur in July to September and March to April. Average yields of 6 tons a year in fresh matter can be achieved. The harvest differs strongly between the rainy and dry seasons, with 1,120 kilograms divided by hopper harvest and 690 kilograms divided by hopper harvest, respectively. The leaves and stems can be harvested from the young plant 60 days after seeding and then another 7 times in the year. At every harvest, the plants are cut back to within 2 feet from the ground. In some production systems, the leaves are harvested every 2 weeks by only harvesting a small portion of the tree, 1 or 2 stems per tree. The cultivation of Moringa oleifera can also be done intensively with irrigation and fertilization with suitable varieties. Trials in Nicaragua with 1 million plants per hectare and 9 cuttings, year over 4 years, gave an average fresh matter production of 580 metric tons a year, equivalent to about 174 metric tons of fresh leaves. One estimate for yield of oil from kernels is 250 liters divided by ha. The oil can be used as a food supplement, as a base for cosmetics, and for hair and the skin. It's considered liquid gold in many cultures. It's fast absorbing on the skin as a moisturizer and has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Pests and diseases. The moringa tree is not affected by any serious diseases in its native or introduced ranges. In India, several insect pests are seen, including various caterpillars such as the bark-eating caterpillar, the hairy caterpillar, or the green leaf caterpillar. The budworms, Noctuidira, are known to cause serious defoliation. Damaging agents can also be aphids, stem borers, and fruit flies. In some regions, termites can also cause minor damage. If termites are numerous in soils, insect management costs are not bearable. The moringa tree is a host to Lovelula torica, a powdery mildew which causes damage in papaya crops in South India. Cultivation management should therefore be checked. Nutrients. The nutritional content of 100 grams of fresh Moringa oleifera leaves is shown in the table, while other studies of nutrient values are available. The leaves are the most nutritious part of the plant, being a significant source of B vitamins, vitamin C, probitamin as beta-carotene, vitamin K, manganese, and protein, among other essential nutrients. When compared with common foods particularly high in certain nutrients per 100 grams fresh weight, cooked moringa leaves are considerable sources of these same nutrients. Some of the calcium in moringa leaves is bound as crystals of calcium oxalate, though at levels 1 divided by 25th to 1 divided by 45th of that found in spinach, which is a negligible amount. The leaves are cooked and used like spinach and are commonly dried and crushed into a powder used in soups and sauces. All parts of the moringa tree are edible, with regional uses varying widely. Immature seed pods, called drumsticks, leaves, mature seeds, oil pressed from seeds, flowers, roots. The immature seed pods, called drumsticks, are commonly consumed in South Asia. They are prepared by parboiling and cooked in a curry until soft. The seed pods, fruits, even when cooked by boiling, remain particularly high in vitamin C and are also a good source of dietary fiber, potassium, magnesium, and manganese. The seeds, sometimes removed from more mature pods and eaten like peas or roasted like nuts, contain high levels of vitamin C and moderate amounts of B vitamins and dietary minerals. Mature seeds yield 38–40% edible oil called ben oil from its high concentration of behenic acid. The refined oil is clear and odorless and resists rancidity. The seed cake remaining after oil extraction may be used as a fertilizer or as a flocculant to purify water. Moringa seed oil also has potential for use as a biofuel. The roots are shredded and used as a condiment with sharp flavor qualities deriving from significant content of polyphenols. Moringa trees have been used to combat malnutrition, especially among infants and nursing mothers. Since moringa thrives in arid and semi-arid environments, it may provide a versatile, nutritious food source throughout the year. Moringa leaves have been proposed as an iron-rich food source. 31% daily value per 100 grams are consumed to combat iron deficiency. However, further study is needed to test practical applications of using this dietary source and its iron bioavailability. Cooking with moringa. Moringa has numerous applications in cooking throughout its regional distribution. The fruits or seed pods, known as drumsticks, are a culinary vegetable commonly used in soups and curries. The leaves are also commonly eaten for many culinary uses, and the flowers are featured in some recipes as well. The long drumsticks are often cut into shorter lengths and stewed in curries and soups. Because the outer skin is tough and fibrous, drumsticks are often chewed to extract the juices and nutrients, with the remaining fibrous material discarded. Others describe a slightly different method of sucking out the flesh and tender seeds and discarding the tube of skin. Sometimes the inner flesh is peeled and used in dishes as well, discarding the outer skin. Traditional dishes which commonly include drumsticks prepared this way include South Indian sambar, where it is stewed with lentils, and the Thai dish king sam, which is a sour curry with drumsticks and fish. The leaves can be used in many ways, perhaps most commonly added to clear broth-based soups, such as the Filipino dishes tinola and utan. Tender moringa leaves, finely chopped, are used as garnish for vegetable dishes and salads, such as the Kerala dish thoran. It is also used in place of or along with coriander. Despite its reputation as a superfood, there is no scientific evidence that it provides nutritional benefits beyond those of a healthy diet or has any super or unique pharmacological effects or anti-disease activities in humans. Bark, sap, roots, leaves, seeds, and flowers are used in traditional medicine. Research has examined how it might affect blood lipid profiles, although it has not been shown to be effective at diagnosing, treating, or preventing any human diseases. Extracts from leaves contain low contents of polyphenols, which are under basic research for their potential properties. Despite considerable preliminary research on the biological properties of moringa components, few high-quality studies on humans justify its use to treat human diseases. Potential adverse effects. Various adverse effects may occur from consuming moringa bark, roots, or flowers and their extracts, as these components contain chemicals that appear to be toxic when eaten. Moringa should not be used concurrently with prescription drugs affecting cytochrome P450, the diabetes drug sitagliptin, or during pregnancy. Please consult your healthcare physician before taking moringa in any form. Water purification. Moringa seed cake, obtained as a byproduct of pressing seeds to obtain oil, is used to filter water using flocculation to produce potable water for animal or human consumption. Moringa seeds contain dimeric cationic proteins which absorb and neutralize colloidal charges in turbid water. This causes the colloidal particles to clump together, making the suspended particles easier to remove. The particles become sludge and easily removed by either settling or filtration. Moringa seed cake removes most impurities from water. This use use is of particular interest for being non-toxic and sustainable compared to other materials in moringa growing regions where drinking water is affected by pollutants. Other uses. Every single place moringa is grown has the potential to improve nutrition, boost food security, foster rural development, and support sustainable land care. It may be used as forage for livestock, a micronutrient liquid, a natural anthelmintic, and possible adjuvant. Moringa oleifera leaf powder was as effective as soap for hand washing when wetted in advance to enable antiseptic and detergent properties from phytochemicals in the leaves. Moringa oleifera seeds and pressed cake have been implemented as wastewater conditioners for deodorant and drying fecal sludge. Wholesale moringa growers. The largest moringa growers in terms of acreage, dollar investment, and number of plants sold are typically at wholesale farms and nurseries. Specialization has increased significantly, which has produced great diversity within the wholesale segment. Early individual wholesale growers offer a full range of moringa varieties. Efficiency in growing fewer kinds of varieties has tended to reduce their numbers. Within the wholesale moringa tree industry, a variety of specializations have emerged. These include liner growers who focus solely on propagation without growing a finished plant. There are also growers specializing in young potted moringa trees, typically aged between 90 days to 1 year. Other growers limit their stock to trees between 1 and 3 years old. Some are even more specific, focusing solely on one variety of moringa tree, with moringa oleifera being the most common. Moringa brokers and agents. Brokers and agents are persons or firms that do not grow moringa but provide marketing services to the moringa tree industry. They are especially prevalent in providing sales to markets around the country. They are especially prevalent in providing sales to growers and retailers in markets around the world, and their service is at least in part directly tied to specialization. Moringa retailers. There are more than 1,000 retailers carrying moringa products and moringa trees throughout the U.S. Of this number, perhaps 1 divided by 10th of this number is supplied by local growers, along with an assurance of quality and valid information about her moringa trees and corresponding moringa tree problems. Retail growers fit into several categories. These include cash and carry moringa growers, garden centers which offer moringa trees and a full line of related moringa tree items. Full-service moringa growers who typically provide moringa trees and other materials made from moringa on a cash and carry basis. Growers who also deliver, design, installation, and/or perform maintenance. Some cash and carry moringa growers provide no service, no quality assurance, and little to no warranty. Unfortunately, if the buyer receives any information, it may be incorrect because typically the salesperson has had no moringa training. Many moringa trees sold through this type of outlet are of good quality, but unless the buyer knows plant quality, she cannot be sure about any individual purchase. One factor common to all moringa tree growers today is that in order to prosper, sound business decisions must guide the management of the moringa grower. One sound business practice is to hire qualified personnel, although the primary purpose of this manual is not to provide instruction in business management. The ultimate goal is to upgrade the professional qualities of people in the moringa tree industry and the agriculture industry as a whole. Grow Moringa strives to create more moringa entrepreneurs and begin to hire from a more trained labor pool. Chapter 1.9 History of the Moringa Tree. Moringa derives from a Tamil word, muringai, meaning twisted pod, alluding to the young fruit. The moringa fruit is also known as the drumstick tree, shigru or shipka in India. Moringa has many names around the world. In the Philippines, it's known as malunggay. In China, it's lamu. In Indonesia, it's keler. In Thailand, it's marum. In Cambodia, it's latmok. In the Mediterranean, moringa is also known as the benzoleaf tree, bensen or brenoili. In South America, moringa is known as moringo, merengue, moringa or sajan. In Africa, it has many names like emlonge, moloko, yevutai, and the nebede tree. One name that seems to be common amongst all countries is the miracle tree. Moringa originated on the continent Pangaea when Africa and India were one landmass millions of years ago. At the time, West India was connected with East Africa. Today, rare plants only exist in these two parts of the world. They also have very similar rare animals that are found only in these two places. This is also the time and place we find evidence of the first moringa trees, predating the current separate geographical locations of each continent. That's why moringa is native to India and Africa. The cultivation and human record of using the moringa tree dates back to at least 2,000 years BC, 4,000 years ago, with places like India and Africa growing and harvesting moringa trees for agricultural uses and nutritional benefits. In India, the oldest healthcare practice known as Ayurveda recorded moringa benefits in the Bhagavad Gita, where it is mentioned to prevent and reduce the symptoms of over 300 known ailments and diseases. More recently, with the help of humans and agricultural practices, the moringa tree grows in the Americas. Today, there are 13 varieties of moringa around the world. The variety known as Moringa oleifera has become a staple food vegetable with many uses. Consumed around the world today, moringa can provide humans, animals, and plants with protein, essential vitamins, and trace minerals. Considered a superfood, moringa has been cultivated for over 4,000 years with an array of agricultural and industrial uses. The entire moringa tree can be utilized. Many parts of the moringa tree are used in medicinal preparations. The flowers are edible and a good source of nectar for honey production. The seeds and pods are a rich source of vitamins that can be pressed for oil, which is used in cooking, cosmetics, and lubricants. The roots resemble the flavor of horseradish and are highly prized as a spice or tea. The wood is very soft, useful for easy harvesting and making paper and canvas. Moringa trees can be grown as a living food hedge or windbreak. Moringa trees can even be grown as microgreens or intensive annuals in raised beds for fresh harvested vegetable greens, much like any familiar lettuce or spinach. Moringa seeds have been used as a prenatal supplement and a contraceptive with anti-parasitic properties, cleansing and detoxing the body of unwanted foreign entities and parasites. Moringa seeds dried or crushed can be used as a flocculant in water to purify heavy metals or contaminants, preparing it to drink. Use the moringa tree cuttings to propagate new trees or mulch them for fertilizer. Use moringa leaves in the garden to inhibit fungal growth by covering raised beds 1 week before planting crops. This prevents competitive plants or weeds from forming, ensuring your crop is more effective. Fresh moringa leaves can be prepared in soups, salads, and sandwiches as a nutritional additive. Dried moringa leaves make a remarkable caffeine-free tea. Mix moringa leaves with other herbs for flavor or blend the leaves to make protein powder. The state of Florida has records of growing moringa trees in 1890 in Marion County near Key West, FL. During the 1970s, Echo Farm and Nursery located in Fort Myers, Florida began selecting the most abundant and prolific moringa trees for commercial growers in Florida. 2004 saw the most growth and educational spread of the benefits of the moringa tree. The development of research and education about the moringa tree caused a major influx in popularity amongst growers around the world in the early 2010s. The moringa tree has been grown commercially and now has spread to almost every continent on the planet. The development of the modern moringa tree industry has progressed very rapidly. With the advancements of all types of research, our rapid population growth and accompanying urbanization helped to make the moringa tree industry a multi-billion-dollar business. PKM1 stands for the location that particular moringa oleifera seed comes from, which is a town known as Periyakulam in the state of Tamil Nadu, India. They first released the seeds in 1989. Improving its susceptibility of diseases and pests. Every 6 generations they release more seeds, strengthening the gene pool. We now have the best moringa oleifera PKM1 to select from than ever before, and they continue to be improved. Chapter 1.10 Growing and Selling Moringa Trees. The Grow Moringa Collective is a global organization growing and supplying the world with high-quality moringa trees and products. Readers span across the world, consisting of farmers from the USA, Africa, India, and South America. Each farmer subscribes to the Grow Moringa Code of Ethics and ensures their growing practices meet the highest standards. Each grower should care for and respect the moringa trees being grown or harvested on their property. Soil regeneration is a priority for the message in this guide, and each grower has practices in place to increase the soil fertility. When purchasing moringa trees or products from Grow Moringa, customers know fair trade practices are being upheld and each moringa farmer is fairly compensated for their time and energy. Once a moringa has been harvested, the drying and packaging process should be done safely in order to distribute for consumption. The raw moringa tree material can be shipped around the world, reaching manufacturers, retailers, and everyday moringa consumers. Sales and selling are the most important roles that can benefit farmers in the agriculture industry. Salespeople can boost awareness of moringa. If a moringa grower cannot successfully sell its product or services, keeping its customers coming back, it will cease to be in business. Sales personnel must understand the importance of their role in the success of selling high-quality moringa to new customers. It is impossible to write a prescription for selling that would be successful in every situation, but certain basics will almost always apply. Successful selling requires bringing buyers and sellers together, relating product or service to a need or desire, and sometimes creating that desire. Good selling occurs when there is mutual satisfaction between the buyer and seller. The buyer is convinced she receives full value, and the seller is pleased with the profit. The factors that produce success in sales are the same whether the product is moringa trees or moringa supplements. Specifically, customers want a product that will perform well for them under the conditions in which they will use it. This means that Grow Moringa needs to provide moringa trees that will grow well, where they will be healthy and used for the benefits of consumption. For example, if a moringa grower was located near an area that gets frost, it's imperative that the buyer knows the moringa trees are sensitive to temperatures under 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Here the moringa grower must have enough knowledge in order to meet this need. The moringa trees may need to be grown in a greenhouse condition part of the year or grown in pots indoors with growing lights and fans. If one word were used to describe the desires of customers when purchasing almost anything, it would be quality. This is especially true with moringa trees. It is imperative that anyone associated with grow moringa and the agriculture industry sell high-quality moringa trees and moringa tree products. Although the customer frequently does not know what constitutes plant quality, a professionally trained salesperson must know what a high-quality moringa tree or moringa tree product looks and feels like in order to sell it to them successfully. A high-quality moringa tree or moringa tree product will justify the confidence the customer places in the salesperson. Selection of the right high-quality moringa tree for the right location or the right moringa tree product for the right purpose, offered at fair price, will represent good value. A fair price does not always mean the lowest price. This is a universal truth in sales. A high-quality product at a fair price selected for the appropriate situation means good value, which leads to more sales provided the customer knows about it and recognizes a need. Even a worthy product which is fairly priced requires promotion, advertising, personal selling, publicity, good display, usually a combination of most or all of these. After the high-quality product, the key to successful selling is the salesperson. Well-displayed moringa trees or moringa tree products are already half sold. High-quality plants deserve to be attractively displayed. The initial impression often determines the mood to purchase and, more importantly, whether the customer returns as a regular patron. Therefore, good merchandising displays, eye appeal, orderliness, effective lighting are crucial. Include ample aisles and enticing focal points to encourage traffic throughout the sales area. All of these factors should be reviewed regularly for maximum sales effectiveness. On peak traffic days or during busy hours, good planning and layout of store and sales areas can induce customers to shop on the premises by themselves, or at least keep occupied until a salesperson is available. Following are a few basic ideas and principles to consider in sales planning for physical and online marketplaces. The entrance area is arguably the most valuable display space and should showcase the most attractive and timely products in a visually appealing manner. This is where the initial impression is formed, creating a lasting image in a customer's mind, be it positive or negative. The front display should be well kept, engaging, attractive, and updated regularly. Merchandise having not only eye appeal, but also rapid turnover and good profit margin should be located in the best traffic areas to generate maximum attention, sales, and profits. 3. The common staples, usually lower profit margin items, such as fertilizers, soil amendments, and even some of the better known and regularly requested items, can be located in the less accessible stock areas. To reach these areas, the customer will then get broader exposure to merchandise commonly purchased on impulse. 4. Attractive, informative displays and strategically located directional signs should have the effect of intriguing customers to explore all of the sales areas. 5. Seasonal merchandise should be given good display, commencing early enough to capitalize on the full screen. 6. Housekeeping should be a daily chore, keeping merchandise, fixtures, and displays clean and inviting. 7. Feature-related items in a sample display. For example, plants, containers, soil or planting media, and fertilizers should be displayed together. This type of merchandising not only serves the interests of the customer but can also increase sales. 8. Feature advertised items prominently for effective point-of-sale promotion. 9. Identify all merchandise and make sure that everything is clearly priced and marked. Unpriced items are frequently passed by. The customer is often reluctant to inquire about price. Unpriced merchandise can also cause frustrating delays and confusion at the cash register. Salesmanship. The key to successful selling is good management and well-qualified, trained sales personnel. The salesperson must be knowledgeable, experienced, presentable, and patient. The confidence of the customer in the salesperson is generated mainly by that person's knowledge of the product and how the product should be used and maintained. Customers remember and ask for the salesperson who has proved to be qualified and reliable. That person, obviously an asset to the moringa tree industry. Knowledge of the product comes with love of the job, study, observation, and seasonal experience. Selling also requires an ability to relate knowledge of the product to the customer's needs and wants and the patience and skill for completing the sale. Some people acquire these easily while others find the transition to selling too difficult. They move into other work. The personal appearance of the salesperson when meeting the customer is important. In a Grow Moringa Collective retail center, sales personnel usually must perform several roles, such as maintaining stock, set up displays, and keeping the store and sales areas orderly and inviting. The successful business will have some minimum standards of dress and appearance for its sales personnel. The decision to buy or not to buy rests always with the customer, therefore, the customer's point of view is always of supreme importance. A friendly greeting upon entering the store or market booth, with recognition by name for a regular patron, is a courtesy and generally expected. The customer will usually indicate whether help is needed or she is just looking. Some techniques for successful selling. Interest in a particular moringa tree or moringa product can provide a clue to whether the need is landscape, project, a gift, a disease, or concern for their health, and interest to know more or some other need. The salesperson must make a decision about how much time is justified for a particular situation. With experience, the alert and interested salesperson can sense or determine the customer's needs. Courtesy, tact, knowledge of product, and the desire to help can prevent overselling or underselling. Customers sometimes need assistance in making up their mind, but hard pressure selling is seldom justified. If a salesperson is to advise or recommend, she must have all the pertinent facts, which may require some in-depth questioning. The salesperson must know, for example, the size of the area the customer wishes to plant, how much light, sun, heat, or cold exposure. You'll need to know the soil environment, allowances for height and spread. You'll want to ask about preferences and any special conditions such as salt exposure. Tie and sales serve mutual interests. Good salespeople who are prepared to recommend materials and procedures for successful planting provide a vital service to the customer. So-called tie-in sales in a moringa nursery include such items as potting soils, peat, mulches, fertilizers, containers, tools, and pesticides. Instructions for proper planting can minimize complaints and returned goods and promote customer satisfaction and goodwill. Appropriate tie-in sales and an expressed interest in the future of the products purchased are marks of good salesmanship, regardless of the product being sold. How to answer your price is too high. If a customer uses price as a reason for not purchasing, the underlying issue may be more complex. The deal could hinge on a single timely comment like, considering the numerous health benefits of moringa, you can't put a price on good health. What seems more reasonable to you? When price genuinely is the issue and the customer points out a cheaper competitor, highlight the superior quality, service, and reputation of your moringa. Strategic remarks like these can tip the balance in the seller's favor. How to answer your price is too low. When someone sees the value in moringa and questions why some of our products may be too low, it could be an opportunity for us to investigate further adjustment. It could also be for a reason, among many other factors. Sometimes Grow Moringa's website will have sales and specials, depending on the time of year, to constantly have a steady flow of fresh raw material and regular new batches coming in to bring in revenue. For example, it's the start of the market season and there are a few trees and pots that have been in inventory for a year and we want to get them into a new home, but also use them to get a few more sales that day. Maybe it's the last hour of the market and all of a sudden, the moringa salesperson started offering the moringa trees for free with every purchase of moringa products on the table. Everyone who would visit the market booth would be walking away with not only moringa products, but with a free moringa tree. In that example, the price is extremely low, but it's not something that happens every day. Besides, now that person is a potential producer of moringa products as a new moringa grower. They may get more involved in the agriculture industry now. These little sales techniques can help to bring in a revolving door of potential new moringa growers. Something else I like to do is put a free baggie of seeds in with each package with trees, or if I think this person may want to plant some seeds or maybe even eat them. They usually say thank you for the extra seeds and call back within the year wanting to know more about making an income from moringa once their trees are a little bigger. This is an example of how we can plant seeds in our industry and benefit from giving back to nature and provide value even if someone says already your price is too low. Downgrading competition. Regardless of the situation, bad-mouthing or downgrading competition is poor practice and can turn customers off. Emphasize positive reasons for buying rather than negative thoughts. Customer satisfaction. Keeping customers happy should be a top priority. Among the many ways to please customers are simply cultivating the habit of being courteous, helpful, and friendly. The personal appearance of employees is an area that is frequently overlooked or ignored. Landscape maintenance and nursery work is hard, dirty, sweaty work. No one expects workers to be immaculately dressed. Uniforms, however, lend a professional touch, and if changed daily, a worker can still look presentable in the late afternoon. Young male workers like to take their shirts off in hot, sweaty situations, but there are many people who object to this even if they won't say so, and it could be the reason they select a new company to do business with. Additionally, from the standpoint of safety, workers should keep their shirts on. The appearance of equipment is equally important to a professional image. If your equipment is in poor condition, how can you expect the customer to believe you represent a high-quality company? You'll find it much easier to keep your customers satisfied if you are a professional in all aspects, appearance included. Large equipment also provides an advertising area that is free after you have paid for the cost of neat, attractive signs. The little finishing touches that are sometimes overlooked are important to overall customer satisfaction. In landscape maintenance businesses, you should ask, have all walkways been swept or blown clean? Has all debris been properly disposed of? Dates open or closed? Items that were moved have been replaced, etc. In the garden center, did you greet the customer by name upon arrival? Did you let them know of a special item you just received? Did you take their merchandise to their car, carefully secure it for transport? Remember, it's the little things that don't cost you anything that provide the greatest level of customer satisfaction and generate repeat, loyal clients. Chapter 1.11 Code of Ethics. Every moringa grower must subscribe to a code of ethics in order to benefit the agriculture industry. Set the standard with your own practices. The Grow Moringa Code of Ethics. To regard the moringa tree as a sentient being in its present form to serve us in ways we do not fully know. To hold the practice of growing moringa trees with high standards, and to conduct myself and my business in such a manner as to enhance the standing of my vocation as an advocate in its public acceptance. To deal fairly and justly with my customers, and to condemn all forms of practices which tend to discredit the moringa tree or the agriculture industry or injure any public relations. To strive constantly and assiduously to improve my qualifications and proficiency in the production of moringa trees. To treat each moringa tree and moringa tree product with the utmost care and respect for the tree and also for the consumption of the products made from them. To adhere to the Grow Moringa Code of Ethics to foster its objectives. Legislation. In the state of Florida and in Washington, D.C., Grow Moringa works to ensure that the agriculture industry will prosper and act in accordance with the laws of each institution. Grow Moringa is still able to stand up against the pressures of governmental intervention and in acting as a spokesperson and interpreter for the agriculture industry. In many legislative sessions, Grow Moringa is actively involved in working for proposed legislation that will benefit the agriculture industry and against legislation that has the potential of adversely affecting the industry. Marketing, advertising, promotion, and public relations. Generating business for moringa growers is the motivational force behind Grow Moringa's comprehensive marketing program. By keeping our agricultural activities in the public eye, it creates interest in the use of moringa tree material and educates consumers on the importance of dealing with reputable growers for high-quality products. Through its efforts, consumers have learned to associate Grow Moringa with professionalism and a trusted supplier of moringa trees and products. Economic advantages. Among the numerous economic benefits of learning how to grow moringa with this guide, there will be access to key economic advantages to growing moringa. There will be special events, discounts in the numerous educational programs and advertisements in the Grow Moringa Affiliate Program, online publications, as well as a variety of additional benefit programs. See a complete list of economic advantages of growing moringa at https://growmoringa.com. Communications. The major communication links between readers of Grow Moringa, the Ultimate Guide, is the new WhatsApp group. In addition, the Grow Moringa blog and newsletter featuring information about the agriculture industry, moringa uses, and recipes. Stay in touch with the latest legislative and regulatory news and join the discussion in the Grow Moringa Facebook group. Email growmoringa at we@growmoringa.com. Education and research. Attend a variety of workshops and seminars about moringa production, landscape management, retail management, and more to bolster the agriculture industry and increase moringa profit. Grow Moringa, the Ultimate Guide, is a valuable resource that provides answers to common questions and solutions to challenges. Benefit from a supportive community through the interactive Grow Moringa group forum on WhatsApp, Facebook, and Mighty Networks. We also fund research to prove the real-world applications of the moringa tree through the Grow Moringa Endowed Research Fund and the National Moringa Foundation.